Welcome to Redbeard Radio. I'm Brian Keith, and you have a problem in that you have a million product ideas and a million service ideas, but you don't know which ones to launch next. And you don't know, should you work on making what you already have better, or should you launch something else because there really is a space in the market for it? To help walk us through this process, we have Jake Talbert from 6th Division. Jake, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you guys at 6th Division are known for an event where people fly to your headquarters near Phoenix and they spend 2 days going through everything. And you have a team of people there and there's magic involved. And then after 2 days, goodness has happened and people go home with a revamped business. You've now launched a new program that is quite different from that. And I'd love to hear about what the new program is like and who it's for, but also how you decided to shift the focus of your company.
Definitely. So this new program, we refer to it as the Lab or the Lab by 6th Division. And it is definitely a pivot away from that services model we have done with the in-person and then rolling them into a monthly program, and or if they're doing a virtual upfront accelerator into the monthly program. It is a large pivot away from that to where it is a group-based program designed to start solving some new needs that people have. A lot of people, when they come to us, they're trying to solve that question of what should I be doing? And then how do I go about doing it when I'm building my automatic client journey, when I'm trying to create my overall process. And along the way, we have coached and trained and given people additional things on all aspects of scaling their business, whether it be the vision and the mission statement, the menu, to hiring the right people, onboarding them, the operational, what reports and what meetings. Like, there's all sorts of additional things that we do that aren't contained in just the client journey that we're so known for, that we decided, hey, even though that's not what people come to us for, we're going to coach you on it. Well, now we've realized, no, there's actually a lot of people who need the client journey help and access, but they're coming to us and they're needing the other pieces as well. So that was kind of the fast way of us determining that there was a need in the market and us starting to create the lab.
How did you decide what staff time to assign to the new project? And why I ask is that all of us have a million good ideas, we think, but all of them take time, whether it's our time, our staff's time, hiring someone new to go execute on the new project. And you guys already had a lot going on. So what was the process like in 6th Division for saying, here's the team members that will be involved in lab and actually delivering the thing?
The process for us was trying to vet out how we would actually align things to allow that, because naturally, like you said, there are currencies that we all spend time, energy, and money. And based off our model, we have designed that the time, energy, money is being allocated appropriately. And so the more we worked through it, it's actually where we started to pivot the company, where I would move into the role I'm in now, from being kind of the leading the coach team, the GM of our services, to actually taking over as the managing partner for 6th Division, so that I could run the day-to-day operations of what we do right now. And that Brad, our CEO, that would then free up the time for him to be able to manage those calls, and on top of focusing on other project items, that he is wanting to do. So once we looked at all the numbers and who would be doing what, it became easier for us to kind of pivot responsibilities in my role and for me to move into this new role as the managing partner, so that Brad could initially focus on it. And then over time, as I offboard my clients to other coaches, it then freed up the time where I could be balancing doing the calls along with him in the lab program.
How long does it take to launch a new product like this, given that you guys are already a company that teaches people how to launch products?
Getting the first person into it for us was a rather quick process of being able to talk to individuals and say, hey, we've got this new thing. It was an easy downsell when someone wasn't a good fit for the one-to-one service, to be like, well, hey, you could still get access to us plus all these other things involved. The full launch, though, of like, let's get it out live on the website, have things driving traffic and all the different pieces. I mean, that has been a project in the making for over a year at this point. A lot of that being, though, that we believe in there's the stabilize, explore, expand kind of a mentality. So the core process of 6th Division is that one-on-one service, and that has to be stable and clean and clear and have a great pulse beat to it. as we explore creating the lab, launching the lab, and eventually become where it becomes its own product line that someone could just go to the website and buy. Like the whole time as we focus on building that out, we have to make sure that we're always pressure checking and temp checking that it still aligns to the core stabilization, that everything on the, our MRR and whatever it may be on our services side maintains the track that it's on. So the thing that delayed us was just making sure that we continue to keep the core stuff humming without overextending what we're trying to do as we create this product or other products along the way.
I first heard that stabilize, explore, expand from JMac, who I know used to be the president there at 6th Division. And I heard that and I've used that phrase countless times. And I'd actually forgotten that it came from 6th Division as such. I always thought of it as a JMac quote. It's like there's just the JMac in my head talking about stabilize, explore, expand.
When I say it, I can hear his voice, and his hand motions moving when he described it. So
Yeah.
totally fine to think of it as a JMac thing. He said it a lot in his role as president here when he was the president of the company. For us, that's always an underlying core thing is we build our model off of our MRR and let our one-time service fees or other things like that. They are additional bonus pieces for us as a company, but that core MRR of our monthly recurring clients is truthfully what we determine as the health of the company. And if it starts to feel off, we will pause projects, we'll pause a launch of something or an exploration of a potentially new product to make sure that that MRR is always humming the way we want it to. Because at the end of the day, if that exploration, if the lab ended up not being something that worked out, we still need the core of 6th Division to be humming and healthy and profitable to the partners, owners, as well as making it a great place for everyone to work.
Makes a lot of sense. Can you talk to us more about the problems that Lab solves that you weren't solving with your other offers you already had existing? Does it solve a new problem or does it solve the same problem better or what?
So it solves problems that we don't sell to in the other service. So once again, people have all the strategies, tactics, and things that they could go and do. And then there's all the tools you could go build it in. And then there's all the people who you work with in contract to copywriters and tech people and such to make those strategies and things happen in the tools. And that becomes a mess and people get confused and they aren't sure what to do or how to do it. That's, like I said, that's where our services come in. They're not coming to us necessarily for, help me figure out how I should be hiring people, how I should, what my menu and things like that. That's not necessarily what they were coming to us for, but we would work with them on it. And what we found is that a lot of the people who maybe they're not ready for that one-on-one service, they're, 5-6 figure, maybe early 7-figure, who knows, but they're not in a place, whether it be financially or team set up to work with us one-on-one. But by dialing in those other pieces of the smooth scaling model, the, what we referred to it before as like a small business stack or a small business spine, with the vision being there at the bottom, followed by the team and then the, ops within your company. If those things are out of balance, it can be messing up something in your journey. The pain point you may think is in your journey, but in reality, you are trying to sell too many products, or you've got a bad apple on the team, or you've got and so it allowed us, like what we noticed then was, well, we have all these people who it's not a right fit for the one-on-one service with us, or based off where they're at in the evolution of their company, or their pain point isn't necessarily in the journey that we normally work on. It's in these other pieces. And so that lab opens that up for you to say, well, you've got that vision, that tactical vision, and you as a leader and how you lead the company and how you have approached what you want to sell. There's the A player factory, which then, once again is how do I find the right people, bring on the right people, and then onboard them in a way that they then can take over that ops piece and know these are the reports I should have. These are the meetings we should be running and the rhythms in which we should run them. There's so many businesses that are on their way up to greatness that if they could get some of those things dialed in, it would make a huge change for them and impact that maybe they end up being a great fit for our one-on-one services down the road, but they can't get there if they don't have some of that organized back-end processes of their just how their business is designed and laid out in place.
Tell us more about the A player factory. Is this a thing where 6th Division has a thing that they go install for a company and then the business owner who is the member of lab just goes and runs it? Or is it you're teaching the business owner how to do something or what?
teaching business owner and or member of their team, so it doesn't have to necessarily be the business owner that comes to the lab calls. But essentially the idea is finding the right people, having an A player team that works for you starts with, it starts way back at the culture and what you're offering in the menu and such. But when we actually go time to find people, everything from our job description and where we're putting that job description, what we refer to as the hiring gauntlet that you would go through to make sure that the person is a fit, because fit in a company, there is the fit, like you actually fit the role, you have the skill set, but beyond that, there's a fit for our values. Are they a cultural fit? And in ours, we even break it down into there's the technical acumen versus the leadership and communication skill set. And finding that balance of, I can teach anybody to work in the tools we work in. That's easy. But if you're not a leader and you can't communicate clearly and you're not aligned to our vision, mission, purpose, it doesn't matter if you're the best person utilizing the tools we work with, we're not even going to consider you if you don't fit these other things first. So it's helping them design out a gauntlet that they would use to hire, and then what things they need in place once someone is hired to make sure that they get onboarded and ramped up in that A player mentality, a championship, mentality as they approach their role.
Do you help people in lab do just one thing at a time? Like you say, okay, over the next 3 months, you're doing the A player factory. Once that's done, we'll start doing something else. Or are you trying to help people do 10 new things at once?
They are welcome to bring anything. It is completely open to anything that they need to focus on at that call in their business. So they may come on and want to focus on a player tactic and such on a Tuesday call, but they've got a prezo that they're giving next week that they want to workshop through the messaging on, and they want to do that on the Thursday call. So it is an open session, kind of like mini mastermind hot seats of, well, what's that thing? And let us press the fast forward button on that thing for you.
This is really interesting in contrast to what used to be your primary offering, where I've never been to the 2-day event itself that you guys run, but I worked with people who had, and it was very much here's a process. We're going to take you through a process that has a high probability of winning for you. And now your new offering is here's a bunch of stuff you could do. What's your biggest problem right now?
Let's solve it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
There is still, naturally, as we've launched the lab and, we've got our master builder program that people do in the one-on-one service. And coming soon, we're going to have our journey mapping course launched and our other, automatic client journey courses. And there will be, after that, in the future of 6th Division, there'll be other actual smooth scaling courses that someone could buy into. So you could buy Tactical Vision or you could buy A Player Factory courses. And that's on the runway we're headed towards with that side of it. But once again, what people need, especially when they're figuring it out, they're getting there, and they're, like I said, a lot of times either they are right about the point where they could work with us, or they're not quite there yet. A lot of them aren't as concerned about, let me get the structural thing. There's a lot of programs out there, Brian, that teach, client, team, and vision stuff, and they're really good at showing you how to make the dough, but not good at telling you how to actually bake the thing. And so there's all sorts of those resources out there that people can look up. What we're doing is we're saying, hey, bring it. We'll show you that, our flavor of it. And actually, here's now to go bake that thing and get it done right now. And people have seen amazing results from actually determining maybe some of the gaps they've had in their hiring process in bringing on the wrong people for a specific role. We've had people who come out and the overall message they've used through their journey gets adapted and changed because of that. Sometimes we work on one thing with people and they, we'll give them hey, just go do this piece. Don't worry about the whole project, this piece, and then come back on in next week and we'll pick up the next piece of it, just so that people have those bite-sized chunks that they can knock off rather than trying to attack the whole project at once.
In my mastermind, I love asking people, drilling down to a very specific problem and a specific thing they can actually do by the next call. And we also do calls on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And that idea of, okay, you gave me a huge problem, and now 5 minutes later after talking about it, there's a single action step. And then I say, when can you do this by? And they say, oh, I can do it by Friday. I say, great. Okay, on Friday, I expect to see a Slack message to the group saying, I did the thing. Here's the link to the thing that is done. And just that ability to focus and ignore all the irrelevant questions, which are the 99% that are not the most important question, that is provided so much value to my members. I'm thinking about how many people has Brad hired and fired over the years, do you reckon?
Gosh, just here at 6th Division, we'll say, yeah, a decent number, a good number. And, but majority of those people end up staying on for years and years. And if you use the term, and I'm going to do finger quotes, even though you can't see me, of like fired somebody, one, anyone else who has left the company has left as they progress on a journey. And it's here's something I'm going to go do with that I want to do in my career moving forward. But actual, like, having to have somebody exit, we're like, no, this wasn't a fit. And either whether we realize it quickly or not, I'm struggling to think of more than one off the top of my head.
I hear that and I think about the hiring challenges I'm facing. Like I'm trying to hire more sales associates right now for my lending company. And I think, yeah, getting Brad's, 5 minutes of Brad's brain on that one topic. If indeed I'm accurate about this is the problem, and if I can reach this one outcome, like right now, my outcome is we never used to have a sales team when my mom owned the company. And now she's the lead trainer and the founder who's contributing, but it's my company. And I've had up to 2 salespeople at a time. And my plan is we're going to get to where we're making 1,000 calls a week, both to our existing audience and the overall number of people that could potentially hire us. And I think, 1,000 calls a week, which I'm thinking about 4 sales associates can do that. 1,000 calls a week for a year. Our operations team is already amazing at delivering the product. So all I got to do is make it so that everyone, and we're dealing with the lending industry. There's less than 100,000 lenders in the nation. There's less than 1,000 institutions that we really want to work with. So it's a relatively small market. I could call all of them if I had the right scripts, the right staff, the right direct mail to go with it, the right LinkedIn messages, the right manuals, all this stuff together. And so I'm thinking, if I'm accurate that 1,000 calls a week will change the face of the company, and if I'm accurate that hiring the right sales associates is critical to that process, then getting Brad's attention on this one thing and him exposing whatever I'm not noticing or the things I'm not properly prioritizing in that, I can see how one conversation with Brad for 5 minutes of one of the lab calls could be worth a significant pile of cash.
And on top of that, even in using your scenario, I'm looking to get, let's say, 2 sales reps or X number of sales reps to make X number of calls. And the first thing we're going to do is actually pick that apart and be like, okay, but why? What's telling you that 1,000 calls is right? What's telling you if you found one person that you could pay the same that you'd pay 2 people and they made 500 calls, but they were baller at crushing it, do you actually need 2 people? Could one suffice? And if so, what's that job? What's that role? What's that person and expected pay and things like that? So that you craft, once again, when we then go to craft like a job description or a hiring process, I'm going to craft that totally different. In the sales world, if I go hire the contract killer that I know I need one of you and you're going to take care of the business for me, versus if I need someone where I'm just worried about volume and I'm like, yep, I know I can provide you all the right things. I don't need a contract killer sales rep. I need a team player who can come in and I know can execute on the role and follow the directions, but has the aptitude and the ability to have good conversations. Well, great. Those are 2 totally different job descriptions. Those are 2 totally different hiring processes and pay scales and everything in between. And so the first thing is like, whenever someone comes to something like that, it's like, well, yeah, let's actually identify the why and underline things, make sure that we're actually approaching the problem in the correct way. And then now let's talk through what you would be doing to go and create those individual steps of the process.
I love it, Jake. For folks who are listening to this and thinking, wow, I really want to be able to pick your guys' brain, how do they get involved in 6th Division's lab?
Best way is they just go to our website, SIxthdivision.com, and that's spelt out. So it's actually SIxthdivision, so no number like in there. Spell it out, SIxthdivision.com. And at the top, they'll see like how we help, and there'll be the options there of our academy, the lab, and the master builder program. And so they just pick the lab and they'll be able to start learning more about it on the page. And they can also reach out to me directly if anyone has questions. They can email me, Jake, Jake, at SIxthdivision.com. And more than willing to answer questions, or if someone needed to jump on a quick, 20, 30-minute call to review anything, willing to do that to help guide them down that initial path.
Wonderful, Jake. Thanks for being on Redbeard Radio.
Thanks for having me.